Hey there, Christian Walsh, Coldwell Banker Wire Associates, here to share with you a brand new website that the federal government just put together to address mortgage and housing assistance during this natural emergency. So, as a reminder, Christian Walsh, Coldwell Banker Wire Associates, we specialize in multifamily, single family, and leasing in Orange County, California. So, we're actually very excited about this new website. It brings together a lot of pieces of the puzzle to help owners and renters find some important resources. I will say it is geared more toward owners. They do talk about helping renters. There isn't much on here. No offense to the folks who created it. They did a great job. But we're going to go through, I'm going to show you some cool things in here. So this is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. This is an official website of the United States government, as it says up here. So that's important. So you can trust all the links coming off this site. That's a very important thing. Don't try to search out there in general on Google to find these things. You can come here and link off of this. Of course, I will put the links from this website in the section below so that you can follow those. So I'd also like comments from you on what you're doing right now to work on a forbearance or other things you're doing working with your landlord or your tenants. I want to hear what you're up to out there. So this is the CFPB, the Federal Housing Finance Agency, and HUD, Housing and Urban Development, are all worked together on this, which is great. This is a lot of great minds have come together and are continuing to work hard for all of us. So again, this is mortgage relief options, protection for renters, and some scams and bad actors. So it gives you a few ideas of some scams that are going on out there. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. That old adage never changes. So let's dive right in. So we'll start with the mortgage relief options. So it takes you to this page, talks about the different mortgage relief options. This is from a federal level. So the government-sponsored enterprises, Fannie and Freddie, and USDA, VA, those are federally backed mortgages. And with those federally backed mortgages, there's the CARES Act created special forbearance programs, and it discusses what those forbearance programs look like. And in case you don't know what forbearance is or have any questions, it gives you a really good overview on that. But let's get into it. So find out which mortgage relief options you may qualify for. So the first important thing is, who's your servicer? And I've spoken about this in my previous videos. You have to find out who your servicer is. And one way to do that is look at the most recent statement. But they have some really cool tools here. So I shared Fannie Mae's lookup tool and Freddie Mac's lookup tool. But this one I hadn't seen, to be perfectly honest. Mortgage Electronic Registration System, MERS. There were some issues with MERS back in the previous downfall of 2008, but we won't go into any of that. But this tool is cool because it allows you to search MERS's website. And easiest thing would probably be to search by the property address or name. So you can go into here and do a search for who your servicer is. Because the other thing you could do is call, and my advice is to not sit on hold for hours to find that. So between these three tools, you should be able to find out who the servicer is, and you'll be able to go from there to actually reach out to them to discuss a forbearance. So again, if Fannie or Freddie has them, there's going to be some federal forbearance programs. But don't worry, there are local forbearance, whether it's statewide or local. California has one as well. So you're going to reach out to your servicer, and it gives you a group of questions you can ask. This is a great little script for your servicer. Just as I said, you need to get it in writing, and you need to, it gives you steps on what to do next. And it's all things I told you. Keep written documentation on hand. You're going to want to keep an eye on your credit. That's always a good idea because they're not supposed to be reporting any dings to your credit. So keep an eye on your credit report. And continue to pay property taxes, insurance, and HOA. So these are very important things to do. And the protections for renters section is not as thorough as I'd like, but they do offer a little bit here. And essentially what it boils down to is the CARES Act is putting a moratorium on foreclosures for property owners, and it's putting a moratorium on evictions for those properties that are backed federally by Fannie, Freddie, USDA, VA. So that's gonna help the tenants out. Now here is something very cool. They actually break it down, and I mentioned this in my video, and I've seen a lot of misinformation out there. Because we specialize in multifamily, we deal with 1 to 4, which is conventional, and we deal with 5+, which is commercial. So Fannie and Freddie back a whole lot of commercial loans, 5+. And some folks have been saying that there aren't forbearance programs for landlords, and that these eviction protections don't apply to the 5+ properties. And that's absolutely not true. And it's further backed here. So what they give you is a cool tool. You actually can, you've got right here, it says for buildings with 5 or more units that are backed by Fannie and Freddie or public housing or HUD, etc. So if the building that you live in is a 5-plex or bigger, and sometimes I know it's hard to tell whether you actually are in something that's 4 units or less. If they're detached, it can be a strange configuration. But majority of the cases, if they're 5+, they're connected, they're attached. So you should be able to tell. But the tools are here, so you can search all of these and see if your landlord has a federally backed mortgage. So you've got 5+, so you got the Fannie and Freddie lookup tool, and then down here, the property with 4 or 4 units. So what this actually takes you to is the tool that owners of properties looking for forbearance, whether they live in it or they're a landlord, this is where they'd go for 1 to 4 units. So this is their more popular tool because there's just more single family condos, townhouses, etc. So there's links in there for 4 or fewer units. So my advice is just go ahead and search through there. There's also a searchable database and map, but they admit when you click on this link that it's not 100% accurate, but that's another place you can look. And again, what the renter is doing here is the renter is trying to see if their landlord has a federally backed mortgage on the property. And there's nothing wrong with a tenant doing that. And the tenant could let the landlord know. Maybe, I mean, talk about being a hero tenant. If your landlord doesn't know, hasn't been watching our videos, hasn't been doing any of the research into the CARES Act, they may be sitting there, he or she could be sweating about not being able to make payments, and lo and behold, they don't necessarily have to. They could get a forbearance program. So I would encourage any tenants to actually do this to help out their landlord. And vice versa, if a landlord finds out, hey, and you're going into forbearance, then you may want to let your residents know that there's no risk of a foreclosure on the building or an eviction. So the California itself also has a special forbearance program for owners of single-family homes, condos, townhouses. It may or may not apply to 5+, but it's worth a phone call. And this is, again, through California. It was set up by Governor Newsom. We've done a video on it, but there's a forbearance plan specific to California with over 200 different lenders. So you'd go back to that servicer's page and you'd see if yours falls into one of those 200. And you can find more information at the Office of the Governor. They have info there. But one other cool tool in here for tenants related to evictions is many state and local governments have paused the eviction process, and this is across the nation. So they have a really cool tool on this page for renters that takes you to a site called the Eviction Lab, put together by Princeton University. And here they're doing their best to track the different eviction policies across the nation, which is a big job. They have a table in here, and you can filter it different ways. You can go with states only, but you can filter through here, and you'll see California's in here. And I checked, I have done videos on all of this, and it shows all our state eviction moratoria right now, which the biggest one is the one from the Judicial Council. It says that 90 days after the governor lifts the state of emergency, then evictions can start up again. But that's a cool tool on this website as well. So we're very impressed. We appreciate all the hard work that the folks at the federal government level put together in putting this website together. There's lots of other cool tools on there. I highly recommend you dive in. We've got the link below to go to the main site, and some of these other links we've called out if you want to jump to those. But thank you again for the folks who put that together. Hope you're watching. And then for the folks who need help, it is out there. Keep searching. We can help you out, so you feel free to reach out, either DM us or shoot a text message at 949-677-3466. But we are going to get through this together. So please subscribe, and we'll keep this great content coming, and sign up for our email newsletter so we can get this to you. All right, thanks so much.